Come with us now, if you dare, down a rickety staircase into a dank, dark basement. What awaits? The Saturday Night Freak Show.
I can confirm you are listening to the Saturday Night Freak Show podcast, and these are the internet radio superstars.
Sean.
Holly.
Michaela.
And I'm Colin. And tonight we watched a movie that was chosen by
Colin. What? You do the right, you son of a bitch?
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Colin, what do we watch tonight?
What did you force us to watch tonight?
Yeah. We watched a movie by an auteur filmmaker named Neil Breen.
You can go to hell.
And it was called Twisted Pair.
I hope the listener heard the air quotes around filmmaker when Colin said that. We saw the hand gesture, but I need you to know they're around filmmaker.
Twisted Pair from the year.
2018.
Okay.
No, it is from 1992, and I will not believe otherwise.
Yeah.
I'll have to agree with that.
Yeah.
So we just got done watching this,
Yes.
so that's why we're kind of...
Angry?
Angry, mad at you?
Are you? Yeah,
I feel like I'm going to be processing this for a very long time.
No, I'm not angry.
I'm not angry. I get why it had to be brought. I understand.
Well, because
I don't.
like there's
Yeah, but why does Neil Breen matter? Why does Neil Breen matter?
Yeah,
why are
well,
we
tell us
watching,
who Neil
Why
Breen
are we
is.
watching a Neil Breen movie down here?
okay, because a lot of people out there probably haven't heard of Neil Breen, but then there's a surprising number of people who have, and so I was, I guess, late to this. Michaela, you said you knew of him.
I knew of him, but I had first heard of him for the first time maybe like a year ago, Max, on a podcast talking about you got to see these guys' movies; they're insane. Like,
Yeah.
so I knew that. But that's all I knew.
Kind of I've heard.
I've heard in
Okay.
passing like references like, oh, it's like a Neil Breen. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I've heard.
who is that? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
The
Didn't explore.
Chicago Sun-Times, the RogerEbert.com review of Megalopolis, the Francis Ford Coppola movie, referenced Neil
No
Breen.
way.
Stop.
Okay, I think you might be the only one who's seen Megalopolis, right?
Yeah.
Do you see the connection?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yikes.
Yeah. So it's maybe a comparison there. I mean, obviously,
Wow.
but the fact that I guess this guy, so it's like I became aware of that he's out there and he's making these movies, and he has made 6 now to date films. Since 2005, he's been making these movies, independently financed. And I saw this one, and I was like, I mean, frankly, just blown away.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
there is before you've seen a Neil Breen movie in your life, and then there's after. I am not the same person I was that came down the basement stairs tonight. I am forever changed.
I'm just all I'm thinking about is how much bigger can his head get than all of a sudden he's compared to Francis Ford Coppola. Like,
Right.
what did that do to his head?
Oh no,
Oh
that
my
created
God.
like a branching timeline where now he's going to make like the movies are going to get even worse because his ego is going to get even
Right,
bigger.
like he
Oh
did,
my
like
God.
he didn't hear anything else in the article other than them comparing Francis Ford Coppola to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's all he heard, and that's it. Like, it's
he has
done.
some very Michael Scott qualities about him, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
but doesn't have the charm
Yeah,
or
this is a
you know
Michael Scott
endearing
joint.
qualities.
Yeah.
I
yes.
can't even imagine how this guy gets people to be in his movies. You know,
Blackmail.
I mean,
That's
is
the
it?
only
I-
explanation.
Inexperience.
he's.
I mean, I'm just,
Colleges.
I mean, we already talked. Off mic. We talked about the Tommy Wiseau. Obviously, it has to come up with. It has to be the same kind of
He
situation.
pays
right?
people. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has money.
Yeah,
he has
but-
money. He has something he wants, and then he pays people.
This is like a subgenre of eccentric filmmaker I'm becoming obsessed with. These like weird eccentric people that have money but no talent or training.
whatsoever.
So we have Tommy Wiseau, we have Neil Breen. Have you guys heard of Frank D'Angelo?
Yes.
Frank D'Angelo is the Canadian version.
Oh, yeah.
And he did
Okay.
one. He was like a billionaire who would make movies for fun, and he would get like retired NHL players to star in them. He's done multiple hockey movies, and he's like 70 years old being a goalie in these hockey movies. We're gonna have to watch a Frank D'Angelo movie at some point to complete like the
sounds
freak
fun.
trifecta.
No.
Yes.
But it is what we're talking about, right? It's
Yes.
people with no right, like making
No skill set.
Yeah,
yeah.
but
No
somehow
charisma.
they
The desire. and
Yeah, right. They're just like, I'm going to make a movie my way, and people have seen it so much so that, as Sean pointed out, yeah, there's a New York Times article written about Neil Breen because he's seeped into the culture that way. So there's a lot of you out there have seen Neil Breen movies. I think his money. So like, I try to figure out who he is. You know, after
Right.
you watch
Yeah,
his
where did
movie,
this
you're
man
like,
come
who-
from? It feels like he appeared as we saw him in this movie, like the Joker. Like this,
Yeah.
he comes from nowhere. He just appeared as this
I was
being.
gonna say, Sean, we saw where he came from. He came from that tree.
He came from that glowing,
sparkly tree.
tree from whatchamacallit, the James Cameron movie.
So I'm scrolling his
the Avatar tree.
I'm scrolling his Wikipedia a little bit here just because I want to know how he made his money. And Colin, it says that he was an architect. Did he design
Okay.
the community college this is
Now,
filmed in?
So I looked into that because I'm like, well, if you're an
No, it was a state
architect,
college.
State college,
Yeah.
okay.
if you're an architect, there's probably credits to your name, and I can't confirm that. So I think if you go to, actually, yeah, if you can pull up his website, because I think like
Boy.
on his website, he's like Neil Breen, filmmaker, blah, 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 architect. I don't know if he says that he's in real estate, but he also says he's a Ferrari owner.
Okay.
So
He lists that in his credentials.
Yes, as his credential, and it's featured in his film Fateful Findings. So it's like he has money, I guess, is the thing. I think he is a.
Can I start putting that on stuff?
Oh
like,
my god, I can't even find a website for him, Colin.
like
I
assistant
found it.
artist, podcaster, like Highlander owner. Can I?
Yeah.
Can I start?
Right.
listing
I mean,
that?
why not? It's a symbol of status, the Highlander that you
I have a
drive.
Toyota.
But I think he is a real estate agent in Las Vegas.
Okay. Sure,
Right?
Why not?
All right, sure, yeah.
And must be,
Get you some
financially
money.
independent. He's got some money and he has a passion for films. We know that he has a screening room in his house.
Yep.
Because we see it.
Man
He
loves
likes
film.
the movie Ultraviolet a lot. Yeah.
And he teaches a course on.
You stop.
Okay, he has recorded himself.
And he recorded a
There
video
you go.
saying why he does what he does.
which
Yeah.
you
Or
can
how to
pay
do what
for.
he does.
Yes. And
Which
so
you can pay for.
you can pay for well, all of his movies, like that's how he's figured out how to make money off them. They all go for like $30 and you have to buy them directly from him.
Tommy Wiseau does that
Yeah.
too. You can
Yeah.
only buy the room DVDs from him. And Blu-rays. Yeah.
And I
They
think
really
maybe
are
you can get
cut
them
from the
on
same cloth.
streaming, but I think they're expensive also. But like all the money eventually goes back to him. So it's like a direct pipeline. And a lot of people have seen it. People have seen these movies in sold out movie theaters.
I'm sure it's like a Rocky Horror interactive
gotta be.
experience,
Yeah.
like the room when they throw
Yeah.
spoons at the screen.
Are there,
Right.
are there any consistency or catchphrases between movies that carry over?
I have no idea. I haven't
come
seen the rest of
on.
them.
You
And-
watch 5 more.
Does he
Colin.
say "I am a weapon" in any other of his
Yeah.
movies?
And Unstoppable.
I don't
Weapon.
know, but there
I
is
don't have a beard.
Yeah.
there is a theme here, right, with Neil Breen, where in all of his movies, I mean, the reviews that I did read of the other stuff, they're like basically he's making the same movie like over and over again.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always involving himself as a messianic figure who has to, is better than everybody else on earth and has to fight evil. And there's always a tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory, government corruption.
Yeah.
And he has to save the world. Only he can do it.
So, how many have you seen of his, and how did you land on this one out of all of them to bring tonight?
This was the one that this was my introduction
Okay, gotcha.
to it, and I was like, okay, it was like at least it's science fiction in some way, so it kind of fits some criteria of the Saturday Night Freak Show. I know we're playing really fast and loose
With these terms?
with those terms
Yeah.
tonight. And
Movie, science
Yeah.
fiction.
I did watch most of his most highly regarded movie is one called Fateful Findings, though. That has,
Oh, wow.
I mean,
gonna
you
find
don't
the
even have to watch the movie. You just have to, the poster. You need to just find like a bunch of clips from it, and that will,
Yeah.
because I guess.
I mean, that's what this movie is, just a bunch of clips.
Yes.
It's like the so bad it's good movie genre, right? You watch
Well-
his movies because they're
Oh yeah,
Unintentionally
for the laughs.
hilarious?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no one. We are not taking any of this earnestly or seriously,
But he does.
he does. Yeah, exactly, but he does.
Oh no.
Why do I feel like I've seen that poster before?
Fateful Findings.
oh yeah.
A paranormal thriller where a computer hacker exposes worldwide secrets.
It looks like a Christian movie.
It does.
Like a Left Behind
Like a
movie.
bad
Yeah.
I think
What
his
Christian movie is good. I mean,
His
yeah.
last film, I think, actually got some kind of theatrical, distribution, like a one night, I don't know, if, some company put it in theaters.
We're all stretching that
Yeah,
term too.
yeah,
Theatrical
yeah.
distribution.
Some company did
We
it
gotta give
contain,
some
did
company-
it
We gotta
contain
give
a,
credit to the people who
Yeah.
actually earned
did
that
it contain a
term.
B or an N? Because we know.
No, it was some I think it was somebody who maybe distributed the room or
NBC
something
theaters.
like that, and they're like, okay, we got the next room here or something. I don't know. I could be incorrect
not
on
wrong.
that. Yeah, I watching it. So the guy, he kind of looks like Leonard Nimoy, maybe
Yeah.
a little bit, right? He has that kind of vibe. But I am not entirely convinced that he's human. It's like he's watched a bunch of people and is trying to approximate what it's like to be human.
Yes. This movie would make way more sense if you told me it was a documentary about the alien Neil Breen trying to understand like human behavior through
Right.
film.
Yeah.
Right, and the filter of American cinema going through the alien Neil
Exactly.
Breen,
Yes. Yeah.
and
This
what
is how
comes
he
out the
sees
other
us.
end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, right.
That would make sense.
I guess it kind of is. You know, it's like
Yeah,
he's
I suppose so.
regurgitating like espionage thrillers and science fiction movies.
Yeah.
And
But do you think when he's doing the really flat delivery in his mind, he's doing like a very like stern, like Clint Eastwood type delivery?
The
or something,
music
right?
says
Yeah.
so.
Does he think he's pulling off like a tough guy kind of like
Yeah, all those
squinty-eyed
long
delivery?
silences between his dialogue.
Yeah.
That is his smoldering.
Yes.
That is his Eastwood. Just
Yeah, but
Just
he
like-
can't
just-
tell that
When
his
he-
voice
But-
never
but
changes
his
inflection.
voice never changes, and his face never changes. And
Yep.
he just doesn't get that.
He just looks around.
Yeah.
well, you're supposed to be right, like having some kind of empathetic reaction to like, okay, he's thinking about something, and yeah, I know he's thinking about, but I have no idea. Like
Sometimes
at any
his character will
point,
just say, "I'm thinking about something."
Yeah, exactly.
and you're like, I don't know what you're thinking about.
I've never
I
had
don't
a
know what's
beard.
motivating you. Yeah,
Don't have a beard. I've never had a beard.
yeah, it's impenetrable.
Impenetrable is
Yes.
a great word. It like this movie is impenetrable, inaccessible, but the level of incompetency and just rough around the edges and just lack of any professionalism makes Samurai Cop look like
Yeah.
Academy Award winning.
Yeah,
It
Like
really
it was
does.
charming, it was funny, it had like cuts and editing, and like
Yeah.
it didn't have CGI Adobe stock videos as like
Yeah.
sets. You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
they shot in real buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
a
they
lot of
shot
green
this in
screen.
real buildings.
one real building.
Right.
Yeah.
One campus.
Yes. If
Thank
you've
you,
ever been to
Nevada.
college, you're
Nevada
like-
State College or whatever
yeah,
it was.
Nevada State College.
Which is funny because it's supposed to be multiple locations, I
Yes.
think, right? But
Well, yeah, at one point it's supposed to be like a Michelin star restaurant, and
Yes.
it's clearly just like the patio of the student center.
Yes.
I bought
didn't
the
even have the
entire
umbrellas up.
restaurant
For you.
yeah.
No, there's not a plate or a candle or a.
No,
Not
he,
another
he bought
person.
a candle.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. He did bring a
I
candle.
bought you a present. It's one little candle.
Yep.
I hear they have 4-star service. It's just invisible. Ha 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 ha. There you
Actual
go.
moment in the movie.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, you figure, right? 5 movies in, you would discover things on accident. You know, about editing,
This was,
framing.
this
With
was
his
his fifth
style.
one.
This is his 5th movie. His 6th
Yeah.
is the sequel, which is Cade the Tortured Crossing. So Cade Altair returns, as promised at the end of this movie,
Yep. He does. Yeah. It's like Thanos himself.
for another film.
Cade Altair
Yeah.
stars in this movie along with his twin brother, Kale.
Hale. Yeah. Okay. So what's
I feel like Kate Altair
No.
is like.
No, you don't get to ask questions.
I know, because I was going to ask you what this movie's about.
You
There's
don't
like
get to
no
ask
way to
questions.
I
answer
feel
that
like
question.
Kate Altair is like a Tom Riddle Voldemort situation.
Yeah.
Like it's mixed up.
Yeah,
in it.
right.
What does that mean?
Cade Altair.
Yeah. What's this movie about? Fuck if I know. It's a dude
Okay.
that's
Is there
really.
a log line for this
It's a
movie?
dude that hates computers at a community college. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like.
And assaults
this-
random women.
Yeah.
He's worried about AI taking over, maybe? Or
He strokes an eagle at one point.
It's a falcon.
Falcon.
he does-
In the
Yeah.
credits, he was credited as Astro Eagle.
I don't know what that means.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, as far as I understand what we are set up for here in the movie, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Kale and Cade, when they were younger and they were playing with their dog, were
And
abducted
feeding each other.
by an entity, an alien being, who infused both of them with special powers.
Yes.
Got
Yep.
you so far.
Okay.
Okay.
For some reason, Kale,
Lost them.
right,
Lost
was
his powers.
fired.
Or they were taking. Yeah, they were taking.
They said something like he feels like he's drifting farther away, and then he literally faded away.
He did.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't cut it with the power, so they took him away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then they also lose their twin connection, it seems like, once he fades
Which
away, too.
is
Yeah.
fine with me. 'Cause
Yes.
I don't like that.
So, not having his powers, Kale has fallen into a life of drugs and
Naturally.
and just crime and torture and vigilante justice.
Yeah, because I
And
think,
fighting with his whore girlfriend.
Yeah, yes.
well, because Cade has received all these upgrades.
They've developed his powers, yeah.
And he's a humanoid now, and not really a person anymore because he's got.
Why are we making humanoids that look like this? Like this guy came off a production line
Right.
to look like this.
Yeah.
Why?
So, but he's also like recruited, or he works for an agency on Earth. Now,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, but maybe he is aware of how weird he is if he makes himself a humanoid in the movie. So he's like, maybe I'll pass as a real character if I'm a humanoid, so I don't seem.
That would that would require self-awareness that I'm not
He
sure
has
this man
none.
has.
You're right.
Yeah.
He has none. So
it's
never mind.
more, I read it as like a supreme like ego, like he literally sees himself as better than everybody else. He's he's more human than human.
Yeah.
So that's Cade, right?
Yeah.
He works for a government agency that somehow is able to produce like little spheres of energy power, right? And send him on these missions where he goes off and helps soldiers.
Fights crime.
Wait, what are these little spheres of information?
I don't know.
They have a name.
Oh,
What
they
was it?
do?
It was the corrupted version.
Yeah.
Oh, programmable.
Programmable virtual reality.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
corrupted
the
version.
corrupt
Yes.
version.
And there's also programmable gray matter, did they say?
Just matter.
Just
Programmable matter. This is set around a conference table where characters just yell at each other to show the importance of what they're saying.
They
That
just
was
yell
it.
made up terms. Yeah.
That was a fantastic scene.
Yes.
It
From
was.
now on, anytime I go to like open a report at work and it says the file's corrupted, I'm going to think about this
The corrupted
Yeah.
every
version.
time. Yeah.
Because
Are you caught in the Neil Breen Matrix?
Apparently. Yeah.
yeah, that scene is just like everybody just shouting
Yeah.
like
That's how you know they're serious. And this
virtual
is-
reality like replacements and
Yeah.
all this other stuff. And then he's
Just
also
tech
talking
word
about
salad.
like AI.
No.
Like AI is going to, like control the future and blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't tell if like he's been made by an AI or an alien being or he's fighting AI or
Right.
what. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell where we come down on it.
Nope.
So he is sent off and he goes on special missions, right? Rescuing
Yeah.
soldiers.
They show him leading stock footage soldiers out of a building.
Stop.
he's-
Wait. Let me get in front of you. I'll protect you.
Yeah, I'll protect you. But
And-
then he doesn't actually lead anyone outside of the building.
I feel like
Right,
we should have started this episode with a disclaimer that no matter what we're describing, whatever you are picturing, it is 100 times worse than what you're picturing.
Yep.
Like, we cannot describe how bad and pixelated and how the scale of nothing matches up. Like, it's literally like it's not even Getty Images stock footage. It's like subpar that. It's like
Yeah.
Adobe stock or something.
Imagine the background
It's
on a Windows 98.
Yes.
Yeah, when they're not shooting
That's
at
where the setting is.
when they're not shooting at the community college, it's because they're shooting on a green screen with Adobe stock footage.
But he will zoom in on it to a point that it is completely indistinguishable what the background is.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't understand how pixels work. So it's, this.
Yeah, the shots don't match. Like the
No.
movements, the
No.
camera movements
He'll
don't match.
cut between back and forth between two characters, but use the same background.
Yes.
Which makes no sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're like, what? Yeah,
Later on in the movie, there's a full scene that he just reversed it, and the poster on the wall is all written backwards because he just mirrored the shot.
Yep.
It's-
Yep.
Sometimes he'll
Boy.
to show there's three. One point there's three guys hanging from chains, and to show that more people have ended up hanging from
copies
chains,
and
he just copies that shot, moves over a little bit, or flips it around, and then just kind of multiplies
Yes.
different
Yeah.
layers, and more people darkens one, lightens another.
Yep.
yeah. Him and his visual effects company that he employed,
Yeah.
Lightning. Yeah.
It was like
effects.
NJN,
Yeah.
which was like him and John, who was the cameraman.
But it also feels like he doesn't have like the full access to all the features of the program, so he has to find like workarounds. It feels like he did a free trial version of whatever editing software.
I think he has the features, but he doesn't know how to use them.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
It's possible.
I mean, he's self-taught, right? And,
Oh, he's
obviously.
absolutely self-taught.
and figured this much out. Like,
But his teacher sucks.
he demonstrates, or Cade demonstrates his powers by early on by jumping, Superman like from the ground floor of a building to a window.
Yep.
And it is literally freeze frame of him in a pose at the bottom, and then I don't know, how do you describe that? It's like he just rotoscoped or like animated himself,
Yeah,
up to the
character jumps
window.
up, but then he makes it smaller, so it just lands on. He's forcing perspective a little
Yeah.
bit. on
Oh,
his
it's
character.
hilarious. Hilarious. You're just like, oh my God, I can't believe that anyone
You know,
thought.
for all the years we've made fun of Colin for not liking comedy, and then just every once in a while finding out what he finds funny has been a real adventure, Colin.
Well,
We were
this
here tonight where
counts.
Colin
Yeah.
laughed a lot.
Yeah. I know, because it's just like you can't, your jaw is just on the floor.
You can't do this. You can't do it on purpose, but you can't do this on purpose. You know what I mean? All these filmmakers who try and purposely make stuff like this, and then there's the stuff that is just made and ends up like this.
Yeah.
And there are so many scenes where we feel like we know where it's going because we've watched movies and we know movie tropes. So obviously an amateur director is going to copy things he's seen before. And instead he just blows right past the obvious way to communicate the message and just ends the scene or does nothing. There's a lot of scenes that seem to have no purpose. Just
yeah.
Yeah,
inserted
many.
in, and then the transition. There's no transitions. Or what am I saying? It just cuts to something completely unrelated.
Yep.
For instance, there is a scene that comes immediately to mind where Neil Breen and his girlfriend are asleep in bed. And all of a sudden, he wakes up and he is like, who's there? I know you're there. Show yourself. Who's there?
Now, before he did that, there was 20 minutes of dramatic music of him laying in bed.
Yes.
And then he's like, ah!
So he
What's
wakes
going
up.
on?
She remains asleep through this whole thing. And that tense scene ends with him just laying
Going
back
back
on the
to
bed
bed.
and going back to sleep.
Yep.
And you're sitting there going like, okay, is he under the influence of something? Was there something there that, something in the room that put the zap on him? And then, because then he's maybe dreaming or something. He's at the
There
gates
is
of
some
a,
dream. I'm here.
and you're like, where are you? Like, okay. So, I mean, basically we're explaining how it is to watch this movie where you sit there going like, I don't know how these scenes are connected.
Yeah, there is not one scene that has a sense of finality where I'm like, okay, I understand why this was there. I understand how this takes us to the next part.
Right.
Not one.
But
Not one
ironically,
scene.
now that I have seen it twice, it does seem like there is like there's
Don't, Colin.
I can't even call it a story.
I can't believe you've seen this twice.
Well,
Like,
because I saw it the once and I'm like, I'm gonna inflict this on them. So
it is like the Ring video. You got to pass it on to somebody else. Fuck, guys, we all got to find someone else to pass
Yeah,
this
we're
on.
going to die.
I
Yeah.
How long ago
I
did you
wouldn't
watch this
subject
for the first
anyone to
time?
this.
oh, like 6 months ago or
Okay,
something
God.
like that.
Well, I'm
Oh,
wondering
wow,
how
that's
this been
close together,
sitting.
yeah.
Okay.
So Cade, when he returns from his mission, right? Because he's a badass.
Yep,
He's one of those
certified
guys who doesn't need to sleep or in between or have vacations.
Yeah,
And-
he gets in. He's talking to his boss. It's
Yep.
like Mission Impossible. He's unloading his guns in front of her. Like, he just I just came off a long mission. Here's my gun. Here's my jacket. Here's everything. And she's like, you should rest. You should give it a try. It's like, nah. Should I choose to accept it? And I do.
Yeah.
What is my
Well,
next
he
mission?
finds his peace with the animals of the woodland, right? The big eagle that lands with the hawk there that he caresses
What-
and
okay, so
apparently
what is
wants to make out with.
He does. What does it represent? Because he says thank you to it later on.
I think it's just showing that he is in harmony with nature.
Okay.
Because that to Neil Breen
Can't argue
means
with
this is the good character,
Yep.
right? Is in harmony with
But I
nature.
mean,
Just saying, Holly.
it's not even nature. It's a pet falcon. It's wearing a leash.
yeah,
Like
And-
it's
and it's stock footage
and
that
it's
he
stock footage.
Yeah.
brings
Let's get
himself
back to
into.
that. And then we keep
Yeah.
talking about this.
and it
It's
looks like
stock
he's
footage.
going to make out with it.
He does. He's caressing.
caressing.
He's caressing it and
He's
leaning
like
in.
leaning in
He's
with his
leaning
head
in.
tilted towards its face.
Hello,
It's-
friend. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
So-
worried he was going to have some sort of like problematic spirit animal power with that or something,
Yeah,
you
there
know
were
what?
moments where
But
you're just
at
like, this feels like it's
Yeah.
about to get problematic.
honestly,
Yeah.
but at that point, I'm like, you know what? At least that might make more sense.
Right. No, once again, that's a moment where I thought I knew some logical thing was going to happen, and instead he takes
Yeah.
a left turn at logical.
Right, because we're
You
looking
know?
for something to
Yeah.
grasp on, even if it's like racism, bestiality.
Right,
Like, what
yeah,
is this man's
just-
purpose?
Right.
Like,
Well, I couldn't even.
I'll take any motivation. At this
Right.
point.
Just give me something.
and I couldn't even like. Yeah, I mean, like what the sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
That'll happen.
So did Neil Breen.
You were talking about the problematic
It
stuff.
sounds like a man describing his dreams, but he loses interest in describing them halfway through. And that's what we get on
Oh, that
that's-
is the perfect
Well,
way to describe
Yeah.
this.
He goes.
Wow.
He
And then I
goes.
run away is how he ends it all because he forgot
And
where
like,
he was
it's
going.
no fun to listen to someone else tell you their dreams, like, because you're not
Right.
as invested as they are because they
Right.
experienced it. So you just be like, okay, cool. Like, I don't give. It didn't
Yeah, it's
happen
like,
to me.
It didn't
like,
happen.
yeah,
It didn't happen to you either.
yeah, exactly.
The only time you tell someone about your dream is if they were in it.
And it was a
But
sexy
even
dream.
then, it's like, okay, so you had like a nighttime hallucination. Like, so what? It doesn't change
It
anything.
matters
Like, it doesn't.
none.
Yeah, it
But he
doesn't
gets
matter.
to share his with all of us. Provide.
No, he
everything.
shared it with you,
Okay,
Colin, and then
well,
you shared it with us.
all right, so-
we are going to remember that.
If the basic tenet of filmmaking is to provide, some kind of entertainment, did he succeed?
Where you going? The basic tenet of filmmaking. It's not here.
Right. I mean, is-
not intentionally.
not intentionally. Okay.
I'll
So,
put it that
all
way.
right. So he missed his goal completely, but like
Yes.
somehow there.
But ended up in a different goal, which good for him.
So he,
Bad for us.
so establishing this character, right? He, okay, I'm saying that in air quotes too. He bumps into a woman as he's coming back. Well, he's friends with the homeless guy,
Yeah,
right? Who
yeah.
has the little.
Rubber
rats.
rats.
He literally has rubber rats that he feeds as he's sitting there, and he bumps into this woman, and and that's extremely awkward.
Oh, I'm
'cause-
so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you. Let me buy you dinner. Let me come back here at 8 o'clock. He's like grabbing her and shaking. Come
she's
back
like,
here
no,
at 8 o'clock.
go away
come back
from
here at 8 o'clock.
yeah.
Which,
Come
like,
back here.
This is
Oh my god, so
And then he
upsetting.
turns to the old,
Like
the
this,
homeless guy.
I've
Like,
never felt a room just go down so quickly. It's just like
This is-
no,
this
I
isn't
think
your
she'll be
tactic to
back at
making
8
it
No.
function? Okay.
Don't make it that one.
no.
and then he's,
Come back here at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh god.
and then he says to the homeless guy, I think she'll be back here at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
And then he follows her home.
And he says, "I'm gonna follow her home."
Like that's
Like-
the one. He says, yeah, he just
Like-
says it out loud.
There's no second guessing his motivations because he'll tell you exactly what it is if he's come up with an idea. That is,
Yeah,
But
But these moments are all a misdirect.
right.
I didn't understand that
Ultimately-
at all. Like,
no,
what
I don't.
is he trying to say? Because he like attacks this woman in her home, and we're like, oh my god, what the hell's
There's a
happening?
wrestling match.
He's like, yeah, you're not
She
gonna.
smashes a painting that's on her couch over his head.
You're
Yeah,
not
the
gonna
prop's
resist
close.
me now.
We only got one wide shot that we got to go with. You can't be like cutting to get props. They just
Yeah,
gotta
you
be
know how you
there.
just leave your painting sitting on your couch.
Yes.
You know.
Well, she was going to hang it up later. She just got busy and
And
had
they're
to go
like
during the day.
legit wrestling.
Yeah.
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 But
Like
we find out,
jiu-jitsu.
right, that they're actually dating, and this is some kind
They
of
said, were
foreplay
they
that
talking about mom? I thought they
Oh,
were.
I
They were
think
talking about mom, right? Mom
Yeah.
called and she said something or other.
I think she was talking about her mom, but
Yeah.
no, it
Okay.
came across
Well, it
weird.
came across
It came
as like,
across
hi,
real
brother and
weird.
sister.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how we.
So they're dating, and this is just their thing that they do.
They do like role
pretend-
playing.
Yeah,
They are like a rape fantasy. And
Yep.
and then they can't keep their hands off of each other. They're always making out at work, and they love working together. Like
They
I
say-
love
They
working.
say as much. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he is given a mission, and because there's a bad guy, and the
Yeah.
bad guy is a megalomaniac named Kuz.
Coos.
who fondles diamonds?
Yes.
Yes. And by diamonds, you mean big plastic pieces of
Yeah,
like
like you know
costume
those
jewelry.
Yeah.
you know those like fake crystals that you put in your fireplace. It's like that.
Yeah.
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 The diamonds in Hard Ticket to Hawaii looked much more convincing.
Oh, yeah.
At least they were
Yeah.
smaller in size.
Yes.
You could
Is it
believe
weird that I thought about that movie during these
I
scenes?
did too. I don't know why. Like, I was like,
Because the bad guy in
yeah.
Hunter. So this guy is an ascot wearing, or he's got like a scarf that
Yeah.
changes colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's also a character that changes age at
Yeah.
a certain point. He is recast
He
in the middle of
changed-
this movie and then
Yeah.
cast back to his original
Did
one
that happen
later.
with multiple people? Because I thought
think so.
Kale's
Yeah, it
girlfriend
did.
also
Yeah.
became a different person,
It
and then
It did. He at a certain point he had to find people who were close enough to the other
it's like
character being
they
played.
won't notice.
Yeah.
Because Neil Breen has total control over the audience that watches his films, right? Like they'll never notice.
They'll be mesmerized.
They're
Is he a
enthralled.
Scientologist?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
If you said if we found out, yes, I would not be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But also,
I mean, all we
but
have-
also if you said he created his own religion and this is
Yeah.
would make
this movie
sense.
accordance
Yeah,
to that,
that would
I
make
believe
sense.
that too.
So Kate is sent off on a mission to stop the biggest cyber attack that's ever going to happen because Coos uses programmable virtual reality to enslave humanity.
Yes. So is he infiltrating? Yes.
Like what?
I can't stop and think about it. I'm just going to agree with it and move on.
Yep.
We can't. We'll die.
We can't think about it too much.
But so is his plan to infiltrate this? Is this why he has the meeting with him?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Have you guys seen his profile picture on Wikipedia?
No.
I mean, obviously.
His eyes are closed today.
Somebody changed that. Oh, they were closed while he was making this movie too.
There's much like Tommy Wiseau, there's a suspicious lack of information on his Wikipedia about his personal life, and I find that frustrating. You can't be this kind of freak and put yourself in the public and not give us all the lore behind you.
Because isn't there somebody who bought a house from this guy or something who would be like, oh my God, that's my real estate agent or something. Like you never hear. Also, I was like watching this. I'm like, I would love to hear from any of the cast members in a Neil Breen movie what it's like, what they thought they were getting into.
So no Blu-rays with audio commentaries with cast and crew?
No, he makes he prints the disc off and sends it to you and tells you there's not going to be any artwork included with it. It's just a package for like $30.
Wow.
It'll show up eventually.
It said on Wikipedia that he hires a lot of his actors from Craigslist.
Yeah, I believe it.
I mean,
makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it tracks. I'm not surprised.
Because there is a lot of people in this movie. I mean, there's a lot of...
Never at once, but yes.
Yeah. And none of them, not a single one of them can act. Like, I was like, like who is the best actor in this movie?
And the thing is, like, I'm not trying to keep comparing it to The Room, but it keeps coming up. At least people in The Room seem to be earnestly trying. They feel like they're trying to make what they hope will be a good movie. In this one, like, do they even, like...
I think they're trying, but I think we
are.
just found not, like you said, Colin, not one actor, not one who had a discernible modicum amount of talent.
And they all agreed to, I mean, you think of that boardroom scene where they're just shouting stuff out. I mean, they had no idea what they were doing. And he was just like, no, you'll just say it and it'll all make sense.
Yeah,
and they're like, okay.
That is the direction.
And so
just
they
shout it out loud and it's going in the movie.
I was trying to see if I could find a LinkedIn or something for him about his architecture work or real estate work, but nothing so far.
Oh, no,
Damn
he'll be a
it.
mystery to the end of
That's
time.
why your best resource
adds to the
is
mystique
probably
for his
that
I just
New
found
York
a Reddit
Times
thread that
article.
is asking the same question. And has anyone worked with him? Has anyone?
Yeah.
There's a YouTube interview with an animator on his most recent film that is like the closest thing we have to information.
So what you're saying is we need a road trip to Nevada State College.
Yes.
To shake them down for information about
I know, he's out there somewhere. You can go meet the guy.
Don't threaten us like that. Yeah, he is out there.
No, I just love these questions on Reddit. It's like, how did Neil Breen happen? Is Neil Breen being serious? Has anyone? I mean, Neil Breen. I don't know. Yeah, these are great.
Wow.
I know, that's why
I'm glad everyone else is asking these questions.
Yeah,
too.
so we're not the only ones.
I think that is the appeal of Neil Breen. I mean, that is why, I guess, ultimately that I heard of it in the movie. You have now seen this movie is because there's just
I will tell people
groundswell of
Neil
like,
Breen.
who is Neil Breen?
Will it be a warning? Will it be words of encouragement?
Well, you look at like, bad filmmakers like Uwe Boll or something.
Right.
Like, eventually somebody gets wise after, you finance so many of them and, it's like, and then they don't have a career. But this guy is dangerous because he can self-finance his own movies.
Yeah.
So he can just keep making
too much money. I know this is what I'm saying. The problem when you get too much money is you get unstoppable.
Yeah, you have no roadblocks. You have nothing to creatively get over or try and figure out. You're just
What is he working out?
Enough a fantasy. I think this is like fantasy play for him. Like I think he like. Because we talk about how ego-driven it all is. This is all just like him playing with action figures, basically, on a bigger scale.
And he gets to be the star of it, and he gets to, it's unfiltered him, where he gets to, like, fantasy, he gets to be the savior.
Right. Like
in each one of these, it seems like.
But what's he saving? So what's he saving humanity from?
Yeah, I wonder.
The corrupted virtual reality and also... What was the other thing? It was corrupted virtual and the programmable matter.
Programmable matter. Is the point that he's worried about AI and this is him preaching about the dangers of it, and so he made this movie because of it?
It's
like
weird.
There's no clear message.
I know,
of
because
what he feels and what he thinks.
At the end of it, he's like AI virtual reality. We will all live there one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, is that good or bad or what?
Right.
I don't understand.
Right. He obviously does things. Certain things are corrupting, drugs and money and all that. But those seem, it's very obvious stuff. So what is the bigger, especially when he brings in the stuff about AI and all that? It's like, what is he preaching against or for? Or what?
In his other films that I have seen, there is an undercurrent of a prescription addiction and just saying no. And like, I don't need it anymore.
This is what makes it feel very religious, because you see a lot of these movies like this who rail against stuff like this, or the sins of whatever. And so this just seems like he's taking a same message, different path.
Yeah.
But I would prefer this over the religious ones.
So don't worry. Someday I will feel unhinged enough to bring Kirk Cameron's Fireproof for us to watch.
Oh God, no.
That's not even. There are worse examples, worse/better. If you know what I mean, right?
That one has some hilarious moments. Like he becomes Kirk Cameron's Fireproof.
Fireproof.
Yeah, it's really funny because he won't kiss anyone that's not his wife. I don't remember. He won't kiss anyone but his wife. So anytime he has to kiss someone, you just see the back of their head with a wig on. He puts his wife in a wig and kisses her.
Did he make these movies too?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
he's writer director. Like he is the Christian Neil Breen in my opinion.
Oh wow,
but
it's bad.
But unfortunately, they have money behind them, and they make money too. Unfortunately, except I think that Saving Christmas or Kirk Cameron Saves Christmas was like the only thing that didn't make money.
Oh my
think so.
God!
Yeah.
I forgot about that whole era of Kirk Cameron stuff because it's died down so much.
They forced us to watch Left Behind in high school.
Yeah, that's that's probably one of the better ones. Unfortunately,
It is.
Yeah.
wait, there was like a whole the old ones, right? Not the Nick. Was Nick Cage in one?
Yeah, but that was like a newer reboot.
Yeah,
like
not
a couple
that.
years ago.
The
Yeah.
old ones, there was like 3 of them.
Yep. It's like a series. Yep.
Yeah, I think I mentioned before. I worked at the company that did all the advertising for Fireproof.
Oh,
When it was
really?
coming out
Yeah.
back in the day, somewhere in L.A. We did all. Yeah,
Dude, that movie's hilarious. There's one of the marital problems they're having is he's obsessed with wanting to buy a boat. And so he keeps like not spending time with his wife so he can go look at boats. And she gets really mad when she finds a boat magazine. And so it's like
boat
porn.
So boating is porn.
But it's boats, yeah.
We're just going to
But like,
substitute
there's
boats.
he's looking at a boating magazine in that movie at one
He's
point
like,
in
"Oh, I
time.
wanna fuck that
and
boat."
It's a
What?
problem, yeah.
It's like, I mean, we should buy a boat.
Oh, yeah. We'll watch it eventually.
Does she like find life preservers under the bed and shit?
Yeah, like we could share the boat.
Yeah.
Should we share you with the boat? This is like, let's get a boat. It's like, oh, okay.
It was so gross too because they had a whole tie-in book series of Barnes and Noble that were like marriage counselor journals. It was like the Fireproof Take the Love Dare, and it was like this whole like quiz you were supposed to take in this journal. It was like homework
This is
for
like
the
a
movie.
cottage industry.
Yes, it
doesn't
is.
Oh, yeah.
There's tons of them.
Oh, my God.
There's so many of them, and Fireproof was like, fortunately, like I said, a huge hit.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he like progressively wear more and more boating clothing
I
throughout the
don't
movie?
think so. I don't know if he ever actually gets the boat in the movie. I don't remember, but I just the
Captain's
boat was the wedge in their marriage.
yeah.
So classic.
At the end of the movie, she's the boat.
Yes. I didn't need you a boat because I had you the whole time, honey. Yeah.
Well, okay.
You
A
wear the
question.
captain's hat to bed.
I thought the boat would take me places, but I found out that you take me places, honey.
And marital bliss ensues.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bad guy Coos, what's he
We'll traverse
after?
those waves together. There's so much imagery with that.
What is Coos after? What's his
I don't know.
I don't know.
his awful plan?
I don't know.
I can't.
I
He
really
loves
don't.
There's a
diamonds.
cyber
So-
attack, and he's gonna. I think that's it, right? He's gonna enslave humanity somehow.
I guess.
That's it. With
Cade infiltrates the organization because he's been set up as an art dealer.
Right. He wants to buy Kuz's very special art, which we do get a showcase of.
Right, because it's like animated,
It's animated. It's like-
hallucinogenic.
As he strokes the sides of
psychedelic.
the frame, yes, the painting comes alive. And
There's also an angel that appears in this scene.
yeah, I said that.
Okay, but you say painting comes alive, but there's just a hole in the frame, and
Right.
then an image appears.
And then stock
So
footage is in.
Can you do
inserted
this
in
with
it.
any frame, or does it just have to be this frame? How the fuck
When
is
it
this
disappeared,
happening?
they all sat around for probably 45 seconds and were like, "What happened? What's going on?
Yeah.
Why did your
I
art
don't
do
think
that?"
anyone
and we got
actu-
no answers, and they cut to the next.
And
one.
then-
Nobody actually knows how it works.
And
Even
it
the
doesn't
person that
matter.
made it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean anything, anyways.
I
It's
didn't
just a waste of
understand
time.
It doesn't.
if Coos had this art or Cade was going like, look what I can do with, this is the art that I have. So then he says to Coos, right, I also want to get in on your like evil empire scheme. And
While I'm
Coos-
buying your art, tell me about your evil.
yeah. And Coos is like,
These are real conversations artists have, by the way.
yeah. And his voice is
Doing
disguised.
anything evil lately?
Why is his voice modulated?
Was it?
To make him evil?
Yes, it was
For
modulated.
him to be
Yeah,
a
why?
bad guy. That's
Why?
it.
Yeah, why?
I Fuck if I know.
Because is he also from space? I don't know. Is he like
He's demonic.
Okay, so there we go. All
Is
right,
he?
let's go with that. Is he?
I don't have any answers.
Shrug
I
emoji,
don't know.
shrug emoji, shrug emoji.
Yeah.
Is he even real?
What is real?
He does seem to be able to manipulate matter, but that's because that's like a surprise later in the movie that he has these programmable matter injectors in his laboratory that
Matter
we see.
injectors.
Oh, I remember
Matter
there were
Sure.
programmable matter injectors,
Sure.
which can be anything.
All right.
You know.
Right, yeah.
We have that major story. Is Kale the side story?
I was
during
gonna
this
say,
whole
and then
thing?
there's a
We can't
B plot.
forget- We can't forget about B plot
There's a
Kale,
B plot.
who has murdered people.
Yes.
It's just assassinating people left and right. Like the one
which
guy who's
they
just
don't-
like, a clean crime scene. It's like, wait, what is that I'm seeing?
You know,
And he picks up the syringe that was
you know what
dropped.
my favorite part of that scene was? My favorite part of that scene
Please
was you could see in the background the janitor that was like
Waiting?
Yes.
cleaning the floors and like watching through the door.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
It's like, wait, I know you got to clean now. Can you give us like 10 minutes to
Right.
shoot the scene and we'll be out of here?
Yeah.
He was just like standing there watching and then turned and went back to his little like buffer thing.
They see it would have been funny if he was just in the background buffering behind them the whole time,
Murder,
just
yeah.
going back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, would they just always film on his cleaning schedule?
Yes.
That would be
Yeah.
very funny.
God, I bet he was pissed. Like, God, these fucking people
I
in my
just
way of trying to buff
cleaned
the floor.
They're
Yeah.
going to see this in the morning and think I didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there's
there was also a scene when Neil Breen was like shuffling down a hallway, and I'm like, I bet he just waxed that floor, and that's why he's walking
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
You got to pick them up if you don't want to fall. Yeah.
because they're filming after hours at
Yeah.
Nevada State College.
Yeah, it is 1 a.m. in every scene at this
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
This is the only time they were allowed to film because I think
I
it
like
feels
that scene that they filmed in front of the obviously closed coffee cafe.
Oh my God,
Right.
it had the metal
It had the
closing
metal
gate
gate,
pulled
yeah.
down. Yes.
That was
that
fun.
was
Oh yeah,
great.
with the men in black were sitting in the orange chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who he has to pass in front of them, all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the
Like,
guys that are wearing VR helmets in the computer room.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what's going
And, I think they got programmed and their programming finished, and they got up to go do their mission. And one by one, they did that. That's
Okay.
all I got. I
So
can only
that's-
give you explanations for little tiny scenes.
So those are the them.
They don't
Right.
connect to anything bigger, but
Because all paranoid schizophrenics have a them, and there's a lot of thems in this movie, and
Okay.
those are that's them.
that's
we're talking
that is
about,
them.
right?
Yes.
So Neil Breen, Cade finds the inner workings of Kuz's evil laboratory
Yep.
and blows it up.
Blows it up. How just does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask how, but what am
No,
I? I'm
he just
asking
blows it
He
up.
plants
futile
a bunch of
questions.
explosions. He has to blow up pipelines for some reason because that, like, I don't know.
It's part of the process.
But yeah, the B plot, right? So while this is happening,
Kale is having problems.
So
hard
he-
times and
and how do we know
he's a
how?
vigilante.
So who plays Kale?
Neil Breen.
How do we?
Neil
Know,
Breen
how
and
can we tell
bearded-
them apart?
There's a beard.
Yes, a
And a
very
mustache.
bad. It doesn't look like it's fully taken off of like the packaging it came in
Yeah.
because it's very stiff the way it's structured
It's
on
like
his
they
face.
didn't fluff it.
Right.
Like it all comes like when you get. I'm imagining when you get facial hair that you're supposed to apply for like a stage play because nobody will see it up close and that's what these are used for. But when you put it on, you're supposed to like fluff it up to make it look like
Yeah.
it has been worn on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
face
They don't
for
fluff it.
years.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
a brand new out of the bag.
Brand new out of the bag. One guy has a quote unquote mustache. I don't. What is the guy with the white slash?
Yeah,
It's a fucked up mustache he's got the entire movie.
Yeah, and it looked like you could see the like adhesive backing was
but
still on it.
Right, but on the other side is
Yeah.
well, it was real.
It was
weird.
catching reflections all
It was
the
like
time.
there was a bigger adhesive backing to it, and you're supposed to cut it down to
Yes.
just around
Yes.
it, and
Yeah.
they
Right,
didn't
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm
I thought
starting
they were supposed to
understand
peel
now.
it off, and,
Yeah.
but it was like
I don't think
Yeah.
they did.
Yeah.
I think they thought we have to glue this on separately, and they left the back
and
you
left the
would peel
backing
off and
on.
put it
Yeah,
on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
All these are probable explanations.
Yeah.
and
for
it catches the light
why.
so much because it's reflective.
It
It's so
does.
distracting.
It's so bad.
So
And what was the point of him even having a mustache?
It didn't.
Yeah, it didn't
matter.
That
to
guy?
make him more corporate and evil.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
guy didn't even need one.
no.
He didn't.
because I think a police inspector also wore that mustache at
Yes.
some
Nobody
point.
actually needed one.
No,
No, but it makes them older.
maybe.
Makes them more evil. I don't know.
So Kale has been going around and abducting lawyers and CEOs and what was the other guy? He chains these three guys up, and we spent a lot of time going back to them hung up in a room somewhere, right?
I have made this movie back in my day. I can't, as much as we'll sit here and be like, I started somewhere as well. Like I've made these bad-looking movies, badly acted movies
With no lights.
with no or one light, one big light where you can't adjust anything. It's just a spotlight.
Looks like a flashlight is just shining on someone.
Yeah.
I've made these movies.
We've all made
I've
these
since
movies.
gotten better and graduated past them. Unlike Neil Breen,
Yeah,
Your
you're not-
fifth movie, you think maybe you'd learn something.
you learn something.
You're not in your 60s inflicting this on
Yes.
the rest of the world. That's the
Exactly.
difference, you know? Like,
Yeah, and I also, like I said during the movie, I have the shame to not show some of these to
Yeah.
the general public.
you know,
Right, this is the
humility
learning.
is a gift.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he probably did go out with like the first thing he ever shot. It was like Double Down, and he released it. You know?
Yeah. Oh, he not released it, brought people to see it,
Yeah.
advertised for it,
Yeah.
and said, "Here, come watch my movie." I've been to those too.
I think maybe the biggest problem with this movie is that he's in basically every scene, so you never get a chance to like experience someone more charismatic. You know what I'm saying? Like I think The
Right.
Room has some scenes where Tommy's not in them because they're talking about Tommy,
Yeah.
but and then he'll enter in. But like it feels like that movie's got more momentum, I guess, because there's more people in it. You know, whereas this you're just with him. You watch every slow shuffle
Yep.
he takes,
Yeah.
and it's this a lot of the same thing over and over again. It's really tough.
Because with The Room, you watch these people, and it's like even though their dialogue is shit and they're
Yeah.
not like saying anything real people say, they're still real people.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
yes.
like you're seeing these like warm, like actual people, and then all of a sudden Tommy makes his entrance, and it's just funny.
Right.
Whereas this one, you don't get that.
Right.
You don't
Neil
get
Breen
the,
is not a person.
You don't
No.
get the charmingness from actual real people, and then like the robot walks in. Like,
Okay,
you don't
so-
get that.
we did that.
Do
it
get a
just-
tearing me apart, Lisa moment.
We
You
do.
really do.
But it just clicked for me. So Tommy Wiseau, I idolize James Dean, and he thinks he's pulling off James
Yes.
Dean when he's wailing and being dramatic.
Yes.
A lot like Michael Scott did, who had James Dean in his office
Yes.
for most of the office.
And like he's obsessed with James Dean. I think we were saying Neil Breen probably idolizes Clint Eastwood and thinks he's nailing a Clint Eastwood. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what's happening here.
Yeah, it was
think
either that
so.
or like Al Pacino.
Yeah,
or
yeah, maybe
something.
Pacino,
But,
yeah.
You know, it's like still you have to be able to
Pacino
like.
yells.
Yeah, Breen, that's what I was just about to say. It's
Right,
like
I think
Breen
that's it.
can't gesticulate. He can't
No.
yell, you know, and flail around. It's like everything. He does have this weird thing where he says every line twice. Why did you betray me? Why did you betray me?
Why'd
you
you
betrayed
betray
me.
us?
You know,
Right, yeah. He's like, all right, I know there's variations. I'm just going to try them all, one right after the other, and then
leave them
we'll
all
cut it
in.
later.
Yeah.
Like you said, Colin, and we'll cut it later, and then he just left them all in.
but he's the editor too. Well, him and the cameraman.
Yeah.
So who betrays him?
Them?
Alana?
Yeah, his
Alana.
his
Oh, yeah.
girlfriend,
His girlfriend, yeah.
who turns out is
There were-
one of them.
I think
you know.
I think we missed a lot of Kale smacking around his girlfriend in the drug den. There was a
Yeah.
lot of that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
and there
wine
was-
drinking, a lot of I love you, and then a lot
And
of
there-
I hate you.
And then I liked the little
He knocked her off the bed.
He knocked her
Yeah.
off the bed. They're constantly knocking over wine bottles and glasses.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've seen by accident
yes
from the big swoop he makes for the slap, and sometimes on
and like
purpose.
and
'cause we'll
passing
cut to
out
it.
pills, one for you, one for me,
And
they
then
were
he gives her two
clear-
more because, like, I love you. I'm going to give you the extra pill.
they were clearly just Tylenol.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well-
an ibuprofen for color.
Yeah.
I thought that scene was hilarious because it's like this is how Neil Breen thinks that drug addicts do. It's like
Yeah.
it's a mirror of like a couple sitting down to dinner. They sit down to a plate of
One bean
lines
for
of
you, one
cocaine
bean for me.
with
Yeah,
their
I-
booze. Each one of them has
She
their
has-
own
yeah,
bottle.
Has their own
What
bottle.
did you bring? What did you bring? It's like,
And
I've
she's
never been more
she's
content.
Like, I'm content now.
I've never been more content. I love these.
Oh my god.
We just have to state how we feel. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you write for Neil Breen.
So, and I guess, you know, if you are listening to this, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? So there is this
I
like,
don't know.
but there's like a longing from Cade, right, for his brother. That the only reason we know this is because every once in a while the movie stops to have him go,
What happened to us?
Yeah.
I miss my brother Cale. I miss what I never knew.
I miss what I never knew.
Yeah.
Not possible.
And he, so,
But
well,
maybe he knows he never knew it and wishes he knew it, and that's what he misses. The
Stop
fact
it.
that- I'm trying.
Stop
I'm
it.
trying.
And so there's like, okay, are these two going to reconcile at some point in the movie?
Right.
Is Cade, because you're like, okay, is
Will it
Cale
make sense?
out?
Will it
like,
matter?
He's vigilante justice man, right?
Yeah.
That's what he does.
He is he's the one getting the evil corporate people and tying them up and shooting them in the shoulder a lot.
They do have a face-to-face Kale and Cade fairly early on, right? Where
You could call it that. Yeah.
the digital face,
Considering.
where
they're looking past each other.
Right. So they're so distraught with each other they can't look each other in the eye. / the edit won't allow them to.
yeah, because he like didn't have a stand-in or something for the.
Yeah. As an editor, again, movie is fascinating because you can see.
Could you recut it?
Don't put that in my head.
No, because there's
No, but
not.
I can see how he did things. Not why necessarily, but how he did them, and where he didn't do something as far as the edit goes.
Well, there was
When
one.
he just
Yeah,
left.
you were calling out the scene
Because
where
there's so many big pauses between. He'll cut between two characters. One character will say something, and then we'll cut to Neil Breen, and he'll wait 15 seconds before answering. And it's just like, okay, you didn't cut here and move the footage over under the dialogue to react to it. Because it takes him so long to react to a scene, and it's just like he just forgot an edit
But
somewhere.
as a director, this is where it boggles your mind. You're like, as the guy who's like, you came up with this, right? You set the scene up
but
to
it's
be
also
covered that
a
way.
66-year-old man, he
and
can't
you
remember
couldn't
everything
edit
from
it.
scene to scene.
How you shot it? Like, what the hell?
I think there's
perplexing.
a lot of watching a scene as an quote-unquote editor put together and going, that's good enough, and then just going with it.
And he does that because there's a lot of times with all those hits, he's like he does the first hit,
Yeah.
and it's not good enough, and so he just does it again.
Right, because maybe we'll cut out the first one and the second one's better.
But he never cuts the like
it's
the
just
dialogue.
multi-
Everything is just
no.
left in.
It just leads to this woman getting slapped multiple times with the sound effect of a like
The free slap sound
right,
effect,
The
yes.
most basic sound effect of this happening has been put in there.
Yeah,
Stock.
I can't tell if Breen is a misogynist or not. It's always like, you bitch, you did this, bitch. But I'm like, because he usually puts that dialogue in the bad twin,
Yeah.
but
Right.
he does it in that play acting.
You can't tell if
Scene
he's a
early.
misogynist.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty obvious.
Well, I don't know if he's
Come
like,
back at 8 o'clock.
I don't know what that whole play acting thing was, because it's like if his villain character says it, then it's like, okay, like he somehow as the superior being is going to fight the villain who says all this stuff.
Right.
Like this represents the stuff that he, like Neil Breen himself thinks is corrupt, right?
Yeah, but both characters do it.
But both characters do it. So
Right.
then you're like, you're like
He's-
mixing up your signals here, buddy. Like, I don't get it. So
Quote you on that. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Colin.
So
This movie.
the Cade plot line wraps up with okay. Does he complete his mission to prevent the cyber attacks, the simultaneous cyber attacks from taking place?
He
I don't
blows
know.
up the boiler room. That's all I know.
Yeah.
The boiler
How
room at
many-
the college.
Does he wrap it up? How many endings do we get to this movie? Yeah,
Like 18.
Yeah.
Well-
that's a fair guess.
There was a point after an hour I thought it was going to end, and there was still a half hour left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he blows up the pipeline.
Yeah.
You're like, that's what you had to do. You had to blow up the pipeline.
He said blowing up the pipeline is critical to
Yep.
stopping this from happening.
It is the movie going like, I finished my mission, but then he's like, oh no, what I thought was finished was not done, and I have to go back. And
Yeah,
there's another,
because the bad guy is still alive
Yeah.
at that point. Cale is still out there. So it's like, we know we have to wrap those two up. So
Yeah.
he goes back and blows up the computer lab.
Right.
that he doesn't have access to because he's not a student at this
Right.
college.
Right. And
All
somehow
the screens look the same.
we
It's all
think
the Windows login screen.
Yeah.
maybe that kills Kuz, because there's a shot of like a bloody hand reaching for the
Okay, now
the
last time
diamonds
I
in a
saw
cup.
Kuz, he was like, he got off his phone, he grabbed all his
Yeah.
diamonds, and he booked it.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't see him until later.
Right.
when
No,
the
they
bloody
didn't show
hand.
him. They didn't show him.
Right. They don't show
Yeah.
him getting blown up or anything. They show the building getting blown up and
Yeah.
him running out, but never anything happening to Kuz.
But
Correct.
to
We
Neil
see a
Breen,
bloody
does
hand.
that mean blowing up his stuff, you killed the bad guy?
I guess so.
Yeah, but it wasn't even like the same place. He blew up the college and he was at the house.
Yeah. Right.
It makes no sense.
But
Right.
he's got a telepathic link
Makes
or
no sense.
something that
Right.
he like. Okay, so so he blows that up, and then he finds out that his girlfriend is a double agent, and they have a dramatic standoff
Right.
in the living room.
In a backward shot. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Flip shot.
This is
She
after-
pulls a gun on him and she's like, "It was just business, not personal. I'm sorry, but this is how it had to be. Meanwhile, he slow-mo pulls out his own gun and turns around.
Yep.
And they both, in a dramatic scene, shoot each other.
Yeah, but he's
By
impervious
dramatic,
to
I mean it
bullets.
just takes too long.
Yeah. Like everything in
That
this movie.
for the whole movie.
The whole movie,
Yes,
yeah.
dramatic means it takes a long time.
Right,
That's
yeah.
it. That is the equation.
But he still loves her. And so
Yeah, she's like, it wasn't personal. I never, this wasn't real. It was just business. And then he's like, but I'll always love you.
And then he resurrects her in this. So we've seen like this kind of purple and pink, like forest, CGI rendered
Yeah.
forest, which is where the aliens abducted him at the beginning, and he's able to take her there later on.
I guess.
And she confesses her undying love for him, and then vanishes. And he's like, "Oh
Then
no!"
it's like, wait. And then there are at least 3 like, we've solved it. And then they turn their backs to the camera and walk away.
I mean-
then we come back, do another thing, turn their backs to the camera, walk away. We think it's ending, fade to black, come back again. This happens like 3-4 times.
Yes. It's ridiculous.
Which
I
I
mean-
believe culminates in him. Sorry.
Is he just a sociopath that like thinks that he was in a relationship with this girl the whole time, but he wasn't? Like we're seeing these glimpses of what's actually happening, like when he like attacks her, but he's seeing it as a relationship because he's insane.
Like in the Joker.
Yeah.
I think that
Is that what we're seeing? Because I mean, it makes sense that he's like completely in denial about this girl. He's like, I will always love you. It's like she just told you this wasn't real, and this was like. I think it was. I think it was all a figment of his imagination.
I can go with it.
Sure.
It works.
All a figment of his imagination.
It works. I'm sorry I said that.
He's-
It maybe kind of
I can't
fits.
refute it. Yeah.
Right. There's nothing that says I can
Yeah.
say you're wrong.
He's a humanoid or whatever. He
Right.
decided like this is my relationship, but she was never in it.
Yes.
It was all fake. He's hallucinating the whole thing.
As a
Yeah, he doesn't have the
humanoid.
ability to communicate socially, so that's why he tells himself
Right.
he's a humanoid,
Yeah.
robot-ish, because that's how he feels like he is.
He's actually just a sociopath.
Is this Neil Breen you're talking about, or the
Both.
character?
Both. Absolutely both. 100% both.
He is it,
Yeah.
and he writes it in there, but I don't think he knows that
He's not aware of it.
We're
yeah,
aware of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We're
Yes.
we're seeing like,
There we
oh
go.
shit, this guy's a sociopath.
Yeah.
He doesn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't know it.
But he
we're
writes it
seeing
in there
it.
and
Yeah.
acts
Yeah.
it out, and we see it obviously, but he doesn't see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we figured out Neil Breen.
That's it.
I guess that has been my
Done.
whole thing. Like I've been like, okay, so Neil Breen is exposing himself
I think so.
in
Yes.
these
Yes.
movies
There you go.
Absolutely.
and is
Yes.
not aware of it.
Especially because he is the sole input for the movie.
Yeah.
Like there was a moment in this I was like, wow, okay, so he's a lunatic. Like for
so.
real.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we just figured it out.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
feel better now.
And Kale leaves the movie to apparently continue.
Yeah. He's just like now he's the guy on the street with the fake rats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, does Cade go back to the aliens at the end? He sees the big smiling alien entity at the end. And,
I mean, you tell me. I don't know.
I don't know. But the sequel is Cade the Tortured Path or Tortured
Interesting.
something
Does Kale
soul
come
or
back
something
in
like
the
that.
sequel?
I don't know.
Oh shit! Maybe
You
we gotta
didn't watch the
I
sequel?
didn't watch the sequel.
Michaela, you did go away for some of the credits of this.
I did.
It does.
I had to pee so bad, and the credits were moving so slow. The credits would
Ladies
be
and gentlemen,
one name
it's
at
the
a time.
slowest credit ever. A producer credit.
There's like
Neil Breen. It has to leave the screen
Yes.
before
Yeah.
the next credit would come up.
There's like 13 credits and it takes like 12 minutes.
Yeah. It does.
And they're
but at the
all-
very end,
Neil Breen. Well,
Yeah.
the very end, Michaela, I think you missed it. It just stops with a shot of Cade and Kale
Of course,
Just
of
the-
course.
just the
Why
heads.
not?
Just their heads
Just their
smiling.
heads.
They're
Smiling.
both smiling.
at us,
Yeah.
laughing at us.
That's
I
gonna
would
haunt
say.
you guys,
Did you tell
isn't
her
it?
about the even the crazier thing in the credits is like, it's like, cinematography by Neil Breen,
Yeah.
director of photography Neil Breen, special effects by B&B Studios, catering by something and something whatever.
Right. So we
Catering.
figured out that it's him and the cameraman just using their initials for everything.
Oh my
else.
God.
It,
Wow.
literally,
just
it
ends in
literally
Bs.
says that.
And
Yeah.
that's the
It
thing that
literally
like,
says
so he
any of the above companies that have a B or an N are affiliated with Neil Breen.
Oh
and
my
you're
God.
like, you have to. It's like it doesn't work if you take credit for it in
Right.
the credits.
Right.
Exactly.
Then it's like he decided like I can't list my name every single time, so I'm
Right.
going to
Yeah.
shorten it. But I'm going to tell you why
Yeah.
it's shortened.
Yeah.
At the very
Location, yeah,
bottom.
And then
locations
you're
by
like, you
B and
are
N locations.
insane.
Insanity.
Yeah. He's actually a lunatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so there you go.
I can't believe we talked about that for an hour.
It was a struggle there, but we
We'll
made
talk
it.
about it for another hour. bet we
I
could.
mean, probably so
I would
much to
kill
unpack
myself.
because I mean, we didn't even. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
stuff we haven't even scratched the surface of.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Twisted Pair.
I
Now,
forgot that was the name of the movie.
I did too.
who are the What's this mean?
What's the,
The twins.
Okay,
They're
Yeah.
twisted pair of
They're
fuckers.
Twisted pair of twins.
okay, just checking. All right, so we're gonna go around the table and tell you individually whether we would recommend that you watch it. I am curious
Yeah.
to hear what everybody says. But first, we're going to read some of your mail, and in order to do that, we're going to have to summon our mailman, Igor. Bring us the mail.
Masters, the mail. I've got the mail. So many letters. Our followers are rising.
Why, thank you, Igor. Thank
He's
you,
not
Joey.
going to be the same after this either.
No,
No.
this will change Igor. That's
Yeah.
how weird this movie is. And that's a weird man, Igor. Look what you did.
It's very strange. Very strange.
I'm glad you have to
like
live with him.
the guy who made this movie.
Don't hurt him, Igor.
We should let the good folks at home know how they can get a hold of us by following along on Facebook,
Facebook.com/Saturday Night Freak Show.
X,
At Sat Freak Show.
email,
SaturdayNightFreakShow@yahoo.com.
and Instagram at Saturday Night Freak Show. About tonight's movie, Twisted Pair, Aaron Dawn Gilmer writes in and says, "Oh my God, did you all lose a bet?"
Colin must have.
Yeah.
That's fair.
James Hogan says, "Yeah, I saw it in
Aw,
a packed
James.
theater and sent a photo of the marquee."
Oh,
That's
Awesome.
fantastic.
nice.
I bet it would be a fun midnight movie
Oh,
experience.
yeah. This would,
yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To see this with a bunch of people who know
Yeah.
and have gone there on purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're like-minded.
James Boyce says, "This feels
You'd
way
like
too
James.
meta and amateur
Yeah,
for
he's
the
cool.
Freak Show. I still look forward to the coverage. If you go down this path, I have to again suggest the comedy musical, lesbian, backyard, wrestling, Canadian trash that is Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter."
Oh my God, I'm sold.
Noted.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
Noted.
I've heard of this one.
Joey Blythe said, "Okay, so if this movie is acceptable, can we start going down the Polonia Brothers road? I would love to have Feeders episode and maybe the Shark Encounters of the Third Kind."
This is another one of these unhinged people making movies, like we were saying, Frank D'Angelo.
See, we open up.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's
Podcast
got
too?
one they know
This is
about.
dangerous. This is
Yeah,
more
it's
dangerous than I realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Whitaker says Neil Breen movies aren't so much movies; there are warnings about the dangers of an unchecked ego.
Yes,
Yes.
There's
Thank
my
you.
wrap up right there. That's
Thank
perfect.
you.
Yes, that is like, see, and Neil Breen could never be that succinct in his
No.
life.
No,
No.
Never.
could not.
Well done, sir.
I think it was 2 weeks ago we watched Lair of the White Worm. James
yeah.
Hogan wrote in again and said the Dampton Worm song rules in that movie.
Yeah, it
You
does.
remember the
That's good.
It's a great
performance.
That's
song.
good. I like that.
And Chris Huddleston writes in
Chuds.
and says, "Back on the Vice Squad episode, you guys mentioned not being able to tell your mom about the sleazy movies you watch." It says, "My parents went to see A Clockwork Orange in the theater because the film critic on the Today Show at the time raved about it. They still talk about that quote unquote awful, disgusting movie today. Quote unquote, you've never seen anything so horrible," they tell me.
Oh my! I love that they like people would just take this like a critic's word for it and be like, "Yeah, I know nothing about this movie.
Right?
It's supposed to be great." Wow! Imagine seeing that without knowing anything
Dude.
about it.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
parents would lose their mind.
I know.
Watch that
That's
movie.
crazy.
Well, thank you, each of you, for writing
Yes,
in. We really
thank you.
Always
appreciate it.
appreciated.
Yes.
And now we're going to go around the table and tell you what we thought of tonight's movie, Twisted Pairs, starting with
Holly,
Hmm.
what did you think of tonight's movie?
Oh.
Neil Breen's Twisted Pair.
Oh, I fucking hated it. I hated it so much. I can't put into words just what this did to my psyche. It was awful. Colin, why?
Well, I warned you at the beginning that you
Yeah.
are sane.
Yes, you did
Yeah.
give that
I
disclaimer.
just wanted you to let you know that you
that
were.
should
Yeah.
be the title card before.
Right.
I was gonna say if when Amazon sees you rent this, but you can't rent it from Amazon.
Yeah.
So because this is he's got the rights quote unquote locked up, but there should be a warning that comes up that's like,
It should be like, you are safe.
yes,
You're okay.
the movie can't hurt you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept thinking like
But Neil Breen is real.
he is
Just
real.
don't go to Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. That makes
I just
sense.
kept thinking
Vegas.
like, I love Colin. He's one of my best friends, but does he hate me?
Oh Oh,
Does he?
oh no.
No, it's one of those movies that like I'm very torn because I never want to watch it again. I hated it so much, but I also understand why people like lose their shit about it. It's very much like The Room.
Mm-hmm.
The Room I think is more palatable.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
I never thought I would say that. Like this might be the worst movie we've ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
It might be. I mean,
I don't even know if it's a movie.
right? It
It's shocking dark.
No, like I was thinking about that. I was like, Sean, you've been dethroned. Like,
Yes.
it's not shocking dark anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that at least kind of had a plot. I don't know. Oh, this was so bad. I think you should watch it if you are one of those that collects these types of movies. That you have to see The Room. You have to see these atrocities that people pass as movies. Then I think this is one you should experience. I don't think anyone should watch it for any other reason. Because, like, what did they say? What did that last reviewer say?
This is like the result of like an unchecked ego, and
Yeah.
That is exactly
Yeah.
what it is. This
Yeah.
man should not be. I mean, if he wants to make movies, that's fine, but he shouldn't show them to anybody.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Make
like
'em.
it made.
But Prince made like 50 other music videos and just locked them away. Like you could learn something from that.
Right?
Just
Prin-
lock them away.
Prince is like, this
Get
is
the
for
creative
me.
thing out.
Yeah,
But
like-
then lock it away from the public.
Oh yeah, that's I know I've said on this podcast before. Rob Zombie can make as many movies as he wants. We don't need to see them.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah, get it out.
Yeah.
Lock it away.
Yeah,
We'll discover
exactly.
it later, you know, when you're gone.
Like I've made art that I'm like, this is horse shit, and I'm never showing this to anyone in my life. And I don't know why you would show this to people, let alone release it and share it with the world. I don't know. I don't know if I. Because like I said, if you collect these movies, if you are one that has to see the unwatchable movies, you should definitely watch this. Nobody else should watch this. It's awful.
I got a twist on that. We'll say for my
So I don't know if that's a recommend or not. I don't know how to.
Wow.
I got you.
I don't know.
It broke you.
It did. I am just. I don't know who I am anymore. Sean, I have to give it to you because I don't know what else to say. I don't know.
The only reason you should watch Neil Breen is if you already know Neil Breen. But the only way to know Neil Breen is to watch Neil Breen. And that is the confounding thing I'm going to
That's the
leave you with.
catch-22.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah.
confounding thing I will leave you with. And I don't think I have any thoughts about that. You have to know what you're getting into before you get into it. I won't recommend it because I wouldn't want to put this on an innocent person.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
if you know of it, I understand why you would watch it. Because I understand what this is. I understand the madness that draws you into it.
Yeah.
Maybe this makes me insane. But I understand, and I would watch something else by Neil Breen.
Oh, would you?
I would.
Fatal Findings, then I'm recommending
I
that's
would.
the one to
I'm
go
not
to.
sit down and I'm not going to sit down and decide to. It's going to have to collide into me
You're gonna
for me to watch it again. But if it did, I would sit there and I would watch it because
So Colin's gonna have to bring another.
that would be. I think that would be. Yeah. The only way. But I think that is it. You got to know what you're getting into with Neil Breen. I won't recommend it otherwise, except for that caveat, and then and go with
So
God.
you're the same
And go
as
with
me.
God. Yeah,
You're the same as me.
Yeah.
Like you're not recommending it, but you are recommending it.
Yeah,
You don't know.
that's it. And I think that's
I
the
don't
only way
know.
you can come down on this. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Michaela, how do you feel?
Wow.
I think. Oh man, it's like it was the most unwatchable thing we've watched. I would say, like
Yeah.
because at least Shocking Dark is like ripping off a story we know, right? Like
Story
at
being
least
the key word.
at least like they have the foresight to see a formula that works and copy it, right?
Yes.
And he maybe thinks he's above that.
He's
It's
like,
kind
what
of
is
the vibe I
formula?
get. Yeah.
What
like
is coherency?
he's such a creative genius that he can just do whatever and it doesn't matter. Like I'm like, I could respect that kind of confidence more if there was any sort of quality to the production, but there isn't. And that's the thing. Everything about it sucks. Like there's nothing that is kind of good.
Yeah.
Everything about it sucks. That being said, I was never bored. Because I never knew what was going to happen next, and I couldn't follow any of it. I would be watching the previous scene, the scene would change, and I would still be stuck on the previous scene trying to process what I had seen. And I feel like I'm going to be processing this movie for a while, but I am fascinated by this weird small subsect of these people that just like apparently have no shame and just like
Yeah.
Yeah.
put their art out into the world,
Yeah.
like and
Wow.
like.
It's like,
Yeah.
do I respect it?
I kind of do.
On a level, you
Yeah.
have to, right?
Like,
I kind of do.
Like,
Yeah, to
I'm
just
kind of
put it out
jealous
there.
that they're this like delusional, you know?
Yeah.
It must be nice.
Right. Yep.
I think it's a seeing is believing because I really don't think we can do it justice by
No,
talking about it. I would love to see a riff tracks version of it because like how do you even write jokes to this? Because it moves in such a unnatural way. I don't even know how you insert jokes into this. But I would love to see someone try. But
It's Red Letter Media. They
Yeah,
like
do
watch
they?
movies
Yeah.
and talk about them while they're
Yeah.
they've done Neil Breen stuff.
I think a midnight showing would be really fun though.
Yeah,
I think it
I
would
think
be really fun.
probably. So,
too.
I'm mad I was sober for this movie. I should have taken an edible because I think I would have had my mind completely blown open had I been under the influence. So I would say watch it under the influence. I'm going to give it like a conditional recommend where I'm going to say recommend it if like you like collecting weird like must be seen because like we cannot describe to you how bad these graphics look. Like this is the worst looking movie we've ever watched, hands down. Like I don't
And
think
that's
it's even
saying a
close.
lot.
Yeah. And you know, I was looking at Frank D'Angelo's filmography a little bit because I want to bring him because, like I said, he's the Canadian version of this, right? You just need to hear some of these titles of his movies. He did. So he loves, if he's not doing a mob movie, like an Italian mob movie, he's doing like a hockey movie.
Did he do the mob hockey movie?
Kind of.
Okay,
That's kind
all
of what
right. Did we get
the last big save is like this one where there's a hockey match happening and like the game is on the line and their goalie gets hurt. So like 60-year-old Frank D'Angelo suits back up one more time to win the big game, like a 60-year-old goalie. And then he did his version of Kings of Comedy that was called The Joke Thief. That one's real tough because it's stand-up comedy in an amateur movie. Imagine if Neil Breen was trying to do stand-up comedy. Like I mean, Frank D'Angelo tries a bit harder, but he literally saw Kings of Comedy and was like, I could do that. And it's rough, but stay tuned for that. I love this like weird little subsects of movies because it's kind of a blessing that people have the freedom to create art like this, but I agree that doesn't mean we necessarily need to be subjected to it. So, but it sounds like it's not easily available. So, I mean, it's not being shoved down my throat. So, I'm
You have
glad
to seek it out.
exactly.
Right.
I'm glad to finally like understand what Neil Breen is after hearing the name for so
True,
long.
very
So
true.
I think you got to recommend it if this sounds like something just out of curiosity you'd watch. I'd love to watch an Instagram reel. It's just compilations of the funniest scenes. That'd be
think so,
great.
yeah.
That's
Love
the best
that.
way to watch
I
it.
think
Yes,
so, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we've come across them.
Oh,
just
yeah.
dismiss them, not knowing what they
Exactly.
were and who they are. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, conditional recommend. Colin.
This is an interesting response to this movie because
Did you expect otherwise?
Yeah, I thought. Well, I either thought it was going to go one of two ways. Either you would think it was hilarious and everybody would recommend it, or you'd think it was awful and boring. And it is, without a doubt, the worst movie that we have ever watched
Yes.
on this show. I mean, at least on competence.
We are the freak show.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I think
It
people who
belongs.
listen to this show, you know, well, like we revile in bad movies, right? And I mean, Neil Breen has that kind of Ed Wood quality where he's very sincere and making these terrible, awful films. And I mean, I brought it because I guess, was that a recommend that I brought it? Like after seeing it, I didn't
You
say
thought
like,
it was worthy to show people.
yeah, and to get your opinions on this.
Right.
Well, it was
Which
also
is completely understandable.
and-
This was like, I wonder what other people think about this.
yeah, and to kind of, you know, capture a zeitgeist thing because apparently, you know, like people are talking about it, people are watching his movies. But I mean, the level of, and I think he himself makes it interesting because he's just so weird, you know, and it is like you are psychoanalyzing the artist by watching his movies. And like all the questions that you were reading there, Holly, on Reddit were like, who is this man? What is wrong with him? And all that. So it's like it's the equivalent of like driving by a traffic accident real slow and craning your head to
absolutely.
look in like what is the disaster that just happened over there.
It's morbid curiosity.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. The very definition.
Yeah.
But I think, and so I guess then I'm saying I recommend, you know, the audience of this show check out a Neil Breen movie because, hey, you know,
Yeah, we're saying something about you, audience.
yeah, I mean, for entertainment value, if you're looking for the so bad it's good movie, right? This is so bad
So bad it's something.
that it's something.
Yeah, I was like, it's not so bad. It's good.
It has
so bad,
howlers
it's
in it, though.
shocking.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's funny. If you're into that, I guess as Sean was pointing out, that's my type of humor.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like, but
The type of humor is not humor at all. Because this was not meant to be funny.
I don't.
That's
He
funny.
didn't mean it to be that, but that's what's funny about it.
That's what's
That's
funny.
what I. That's
Right?
how,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Like, it's
Yeah.
not actually humor.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah. That's very true. So there you go. So yeah, I would guess I am surprisingly recommending that you watch it, but I do think it is going to. I wanted to kind of reset, like, you know, when I watch movies like Shocking Dark, and I'm like, it's boring and it's this, and you know, it's like, well, you got to remember that Neil Breen is out there,
Well,
and I mean, basically at this point, any movie, right, is a step up from a Neil Breen film. Well, unless it's boring, I guess that's
yeah,
that is
boring
the ultimate
yeah.
Yes.
like leveler. Like if it's boring, it's a bad movie.
Yes.
And even if it's bad and not boring, and it can still be entertaining, and that's what we
Yep.
found out here tonight. So wow, that's
Yeah.
wow.
Wow. Social experience.
I feel like it's a universal not recommend and recommend at the same time
Yeah.
from
I know.
all of us.
Yeah.
This is the baseline of the Saturday
Yeah,
Night
I
Freak
think
Show.
so.
It's like
This is- we
it's
found that
both.
we
You
hit
have to give me
rock
both.
bottom.
Yeah, I suppose so. That is it.
The
It's
scales
like, well,
the scales are balanced.
Yes, we've
Yeah.
hit rock
we'll talk
bottom.
to you either way. However you feel about
Yes.
this.
We'll agree with you.
We want to know. Yeah.
Unless you say it's good.
What complex emotions such an incompetent movie stirs up, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, Sean's going to save us from this next week.
Palate cleanser.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah.
Help us, Sean. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we're going to watch a movie, a more normal movie.
Okay.
And wait for the title because that'll be funny. But a movie that I haven't seen. And
Okay.
so we're going to bring Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Classic.
All right.
A classic.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go
Gotcha.
from the obscure
Okay.
to the known.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, something a little safer, but something, again, I haven't seen before. So
I think I've only seen the remake.
I don't think I haven't seen the remake.
Ooh, it's
Oh.
brutal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad.
All right. So
All
we're
right.
going
So
back
you
to
haven't seen the original
No.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it Michael Berryman in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah,
Berryman
yeah.
movie. This is the thing that I know like
Yeah.
Michael Berryman from.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay. All right. Well, join us for that next week. The Hills Have Eyes on the Saturday Night Freak Show. And until then, ladies and germs, the basement is going dark.